from Abe's giving you the perspective of how CaRDI helps him as an extension leader on the ground in a county, and I guess I'll speak from the perspective of faculty. We're all busy enough. We don't need more work when CaRDI comes calling. But CaRDI does help us do more engaged teaching, more engaged research, link to extension, and a lot of the audience here today is extension. And I'm looking at one colleague, Lucy Joyce, who we co-authored a paper, 20 years ago? And I don't think I've seen you since. But I was like, she looks familiar. And also internships for our students. And what I like is this idea of engagement infrastructure is really important. I do a lot of work on local government service delivery, and I've been particularly concerned about the austerity regime that has emerged post-Great Recession, which is starving our cities and destroying most things public. This is of deep concern to extension, and it's of deep concern to any of us who are concerned with local government issues. And I wanted to bring that national and international work back home to New York State. I had done research back in the 90s with the New York State local government associations, but I had let those relationships atrophy when I was busy doing work nationally and internationally. So I went to CaRDI and I said, I know that intermunicipal sharing is going to become a really big deal. I know it's already a big deal, and that New York was a leader back in the 90s, and I expect they still are. And I would like to get back in to do some research on New York. And so we built a collaboration with all the local government associations, towns, villages, cities, counties, and school districts, and we did a survey, John and I, and we got some hatch funding for that. And then, as timing would have it, the governor decided that sharing was a big deal for him too, and he played this very cynical game with his tax cap and the sharing requirements. And we had data to come back at him with, showing that actually the savings aren't as great as you think, Abe, and that's actually confirmed with research internationally. It didn't make the governor happy that we actually had data, but by getting back in with the local government associations, they then banded together to form the Municipal Innovation Exchange to share ideas between local governments and school districts, which in my almost 30 years here, I have never seen them do, so it was very nice. What was absent from the table was the more activist civil society groups, citizens that are frustrated about the loss of public services, or the unions. And so we worked and created an opportunity to actually come together with the unions and groups like the Fiscal Policy Institute and Tax Nightmare, who turns out is a group that's actually pro-public services, which shocked me. I don't think we knew who that lady was when she came up to speak. But it really is. We put in a series of conferences and webinars, and I put one of the issue briefs on the front chairs if anyone wants to take a quick look. And got a lot of media coverage, and it's a chance to think that your research is really helping local actors on the ground try to deal with some really tough circumstances that they're in, and hopefully create a new place for dialogue. And this is where I really need to give a shout out to Rob Howe, because putting together this kind of collaboration was politically very delicate. And Extension is a master at facilitation and dealing with politically delicate issues. Researchers can sometimes be bulls in china shops, and Extension people know how to smooth and manage that. And there were many times in this process when we thought it might blow up in our face or die, and we had to keep bringing the partners back to the table, and CaRDI and Rod particularly were especially important in that. It has resulted in greater levels of trust and collaboration across these various parties, which is very good news. And I'm not optimistic about the future in terms of where we are as a society right now, but I am optimistic about the willingness of local leaders, Extension, various state agencies, and CaRDI and Cornell to come together to try to address this. Basically, we're all anachronisms.
What are we going to do?
We believe that education and research-based decision-making is good idea in a world where politics that ignores reality is what mostly runs the world. We believe that environmental protection and long-term economic thinking is a good idea in a country whose stock market only values the incredibly short-term. We believe that the foundation for economic development is high-quality physical infrastructure and high-quality social infrastructure in a world that's looking to suck as much out of those as possible for short-term private gain. And we believe that the basis of all of that is some kind of democratic polity in a world where the Supreme Court has said corporations are persons and corporate money is voice. Our democracy is at risk. Our decision-making based on the whole foundation of the land-grant institution is at risk in this world. And I am glad that we are anachronisms, and I hope that we can create a 21st century where we are once again what we were. I'm very, very worried. I'm very, very worried. I was just chatting with my class last night. We were reading Saskia Sassen's book on expulsions. And we were thinking, you know, after the neoliberalism Washington Consensus Agenda and the crash of 2008, we thought we might get a different kind of world that put environmental concerns at the forefront, put human rights at the forefront. Instead, what we got was a hyper-extraction economy. And if we don't address that, our future in environment, economics, infrastructure, and social welfare, and our democracy is at risk. So there is no more critical time than now for institutions like CaRDI to exist in universities like Cornell, to create that engagement infrastructure that allows us on the research side to work with you all on the extension side, and to try to create the society that I think we all want to live in. And I want to thank CaRDI and Rod in particular for helping to allow us to do that over these last couple decades.
Thank you.